Sunday Showcase. Hi everybody, welcome on in. It's the Sunday Showcase. Today we are showcasing a very close and dear friend of mine, absolutely amazing. We've known each other for 20 years. Everyone say hello to Chip. Say hi, Chip.
Hello.
So, yeah, we're showcasing a lot of his work. He is very talented in a lot of different medias, as you guys can see. Did you start out with photography, or did you start out with another?
I would say it was probably drawing and painting, and it wasn't a switch to photography until a high school art teacher said, you know what, maybe you should look into photography.
Oh, cool. Yes, you guys will see he's an absolutely amazing artist. Some of his drawings, which you guys will see here in a little bit, is just your Emma Watson still floors me to this day. So the first thing we have up is crochet. You just hopped right into crochet, didn't you? You didn't start out with granny squares. You didn't
Nope.
start out with.
That's really the thing when it comes to trying a new form of art or a new craft. I want to make what I want to make, and I don't want to start at the beginning. I'm normally going to pick something really complicated, but I'm also a mimic. As long as I can watch somebody do it, I can move my hands like you move your hands. So I just have to watch somebody. With crochet, I just had to watch somebody left-handed. That was the biggest struggle for me.
Yeah, so you're more visual than reading the instructions.
Yes, I can't read a pattern to save my life, but if I can watch you do it, I can do it.
Yeah, see, I'm a kind of like a mix. Sometimes it's easier for me to read, and other times it's like, okay, I need the visual. So, yeah, I can't tell you how many YouTube people that I have to sit and watch them do it, and I'm like, okay, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that's how it works best for me. So I just started with amigurumi because I said I want to make a monster.
Hi, Little Trouble. We're doing good here. Welcome on in. How are you doing? So yeah, you started out with this little monster guy, which is absolutely awesome. There are people that are like, yeah, I started out with something different. So here's another couple different views of him. Now, the stitching here, was this was done after you crocheted it, right?
Right, yeah. So it was crocheted and then stuffed, and then it was like cross-stitched on, embroidered on.
Okay.
With yarn.
He's such a cool little dude. Do you have a name for him?
I don't. I just made him. I just needed to make him to prove to myself I could do it.
So, and this is a little lizard.
Yeah, I tried to make I think the pattern was supposed to be Charmander, but I didn't have the right colors. That's just the yarn I had, so I tried my best.
Ooh, sorry. Well, hello there, Love Spell. Welcome in. I'm hoping everyone's having a great weekend. We're just showcasing, like I said, a friend of mine. We've been friends for 20 years. He's a multi-crafter, like a lot of us. So, yeah. No problem, Little Trouble. Lurk away. So, yeah. He's kind of cool. Now, was this, like, did you crochet bits and pieces, or was this, like...
Correct. So it was a tail, a body piece, the feet were individual, the head, I believe, moved down into the body.
Okay.
And then the underbelly was a separate piece that I crocheted and then stitched onto the bottom of it.
Awesome. So, and of course, he never likes to do things small.
Right, my first blanket, and this is the blanket that I chose, panels and then panels of granny squares, and then you have to cross stitch over top of it. But it was such a cool blanket, and I needed to do it.
So this was like another panel that you added on and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was one of the panels once it had the cross stitching on it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the final. Let's see here. Oh, you're going to a Sweet 16, Love Spell. That's awesome. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're in Florida. Love Spell's also a fellow New Yorker. She lives in the city, though. Yep. Yes, I hope you're feeling better, Love Spell. I know you've had some tummy troubles, so... Yes, I definitely hope you feel better.
And that was the final project. Once it was all stitched together and then the border was on it. I didn't like how, like, I followed the instructions and stuff, and I didn't like how the end result didn't quite match up at the end.
Yeah.
I would have made adjustments to it personally if I made it again.
Yeah. Ooh. Now, we live in an area where glass making is very prevalent, you want to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a museum and everything like that.
Yeah, the museum has been on Netflix. It's part of a reality television show on Netflix. The library's pretty famous. When I was in college, we had to come back to the area just to go to that stupid library and look at books. But glass is a big deal. So when I had an opportunity to take a couple classes in glass, I wanted to. The other glass students didn't really like it because they didn't understand what a photography student was doing in that department. But I tried everything because I wanted to be able to incorporate that into my photography. I was telling stories through photography. So if I learned how to crochet, if I learned how to sew, if I learned how to make glass, there was all kinds of opportunities for me to incorporate that into photography, whether that was before or after mixed media, just playing around. So I was happy to get my fingers in anything.
Awesome. Love Spell says, I've been to the Cornwall Museum and they did a whole glass blowing show. Are you familiar with that one? Or?
I haven't, no. Just the Corning one is the only one that I've been to.
Yeah. Yeah. We who grow up here don't see why people come as tourists to this area, but they flock here, even on the off season.
It's baffling to me, and I was just saying the other day, I haven't been in the area in over 13 years, and I haven't been to that museum in probably longer, probably 2010, I think might have been the last year that I had been to the museum. So who knows what it looks like now. I wonder if they have new stuff, if there's an adjustment. It's probably the same old dusty pieces of glass that have been there forever because it's a museum, you know. Yeah. But I wonder about that. Like, what's it look like now?
I think I was there back in 2002, just before I got married, because my ex-husband's parents were in town and they wanted to check it out. So we all went to the museum and like, yeah, I remember all this stuff from when I was a kid. So that tells you how often they change stuff.
Right. I like the shows. I like to go and do the glass work, to blow my own pieces of glass, things like that. That's really fun there. Because in college, it was blowing glass or it was glass casting. I didn't do glass blowing. I did glass casting. So all of mine was fusing it, melting it down into molds, making molds out of sand, and then ladling it out of the glory hole into the molds, that kind of stuff.
Now, this piece, was this like a mold and then you put like...
It was 3 pieces of glass that were cut into those shapes, and then the middle piece of glass, I painted on it with like a glass enamel, and then it was fired in a kiln where it was fused together, so those images live inside that piece of glass.
Wow. Wow. Now, this was one of your experiments to see what with the seashells?
Yeah, we wanted to see what would happen to a seashell if we ladled glass on top of it and see if it would survive, and it wasn't gonna live. The images is all that lives from this, because it tinged and pinged and exploded and the shells just turned to dust, so it wasn't a good experience. But I was trying to figure out how to make, my project was sunken sea treasure, so I wanted to see if I could put seashells in it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a learning experience. Hi Legion, welcome in. Happy Sunday to you too. So yeah, that's the thing with glass. You know, when you throw it, you know, and let it dry, or dry, not dry, but cool.
Yeah.
You know, there's like what a small percentage that it's not going to live.
Yeah, yeah. It's very possible that it's not going to make it through the cooling process.
Yeah. No, this one, was that one done with sand and then you imprinted that starfish?
Correct. So we make a big bin of sand, and you press the items into the sand to make a mold. So that was a starfish, and then a silver platter was pressed into it, And then I take a blowtorch and blowtorch the mold until it's all black, and then I ladle the hot glass into it, and then leave that to cool, and eventually we're able to pull it out of the sand.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, if you guys have any questions for Chip, feel free to ask. Now, this was another one that you pressed in too, right?
Yeah, this was a book, and then I have 2 seashells, and what looks like a compass is actually an alethiometer from the Golden Compass.
Yep. Yeah. He's also a big reader, guys, so let me tell you, man of many talents. Man of many talents. So,
Just a silver platter. It has a key and some jewelry on it.
okay.
A perfume bottle.
If that was another one that you
Pushed into the sand.
pushed in, so you probably pushed it in upside down, so that way, you didn't have to worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's done in reverse, what you would probably think.
And that was a hand mirror with a shell on it. I did it in 2 ladles instead of 1 to give it kind of a distressed look. I was testing things out. I really liked the texture that the sand molds would give this in particular, because they were things recovered from a sunken ship.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, he's very sea themed, which is awesome.
I learned how to print old photographs on a piece of window cling, if you will, and then put it on my glass work. So I just made a copy of this old photograph and put it in a photo frame.
Legion asks, did he pour the molten glass on top of the objects to make the mold of them?
No, so the item would be pressed into the sand until a mold was formed out of that object. The object was removed, and then the mold, the impression, was blowtorched until it was black, and then the molten glass was ladled into it.
Now, when you put the glass in, do you still have the carbon from the sand turning black that you have to clean off, or?
When we pull the item out, you do have to clean it off because sand will be stuck in it, and some pieces of sand don't come off, but the black doesn't stay.
Okay. So it's pretty easy to clean off if need be. It's another angle of the mirror. I think that's the last in this. Yep, we get back to that. Yeah, he shared a lot of photos, guys, and it's just absolutely amazing. This is one of your drawings, right?
Yeah, I was learning how to make cartoon eyes, just trying things out.
Cool. The sand was a protector. Very cool. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He's also a My Little Pony fan.
Yep. A friend of mine wanted an original character, so that was the start of working on an original character for her.
Now, is this, what do they call it? Like season 5 or what?
This would be Generation 4 style.
Generation, okay.
Yeah, so we're looking at 2010 and beyond.
Awesome. I see, I'm used to the 1980s My Little Ponies. That's what I grew up with.
Yeah, Generation 1.
Yep. So, that's cool.
Yeah, just another...
I love how you do the transitioning of color here. I've got to learn how to do that.
Just, you know what? Honestly, nothing works better than a Prismacolor, and their blender is chef's kiss.
Oh.
If you're using colored pencils, Prismacolor.
He didn't. Legion asks, do you blow glass as well?
I don't. I have, but it's not something, if I went back to glasswork, I would definitely learn how to blow glass more. But casting was more my forte. I really liked being able to make objects out of glass and exact replicas. One of the items that I did was a toy camera, and I made a mold out of silicone. I wrapped the thing in clear caulking, and then sliced it and used it to make a mold, and then put it in a kiln with a bunch of glass shards and melted it down and made a glass camera.
Very cool. The next one here is, like I said, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Look at how talented he is. Just the shading and the hair. And this is Emma Watson.
Yeah, from the 4th Harry Potter movie.
The dance, right?
Yeah. Yep. The 4th Harry Potter book was my favorite book. The 3rd movie was my favorite movie. But I really loved the fourth book, and it was the one that I actually got stuck on. I couldn't get past the Quidditch game in the beginning of the fourth book. It was really boring to me. Sports are not entertaining to me. I find them boring. So when I had to read about sports in this book, it was hard for me to get through. And I had a Spanish teacher at the time who told me, she said, just get through it. Get through the first couple chapters, and I guarantee it'll be your favorite book. And it was.
Awesome. Awesome. Some more drawings. Now, did you do this for a project, or?
It was just drawing exercises in class. She would have us come in, she'd just have some random objects, and she'd say, all right, this is what you're drawing today. Sometimes we'd get 20 minutes.
Legion, they say if you try drawing every day, just like little prompts or something like that, just draw something. Eventually, you'll develop the skill. Me, I probably couldn't draw a straight line if I tried, but I still try.
I would say drawing is perspective. When I'm drawing, I'm not looking at the object, I'm looking at the colors that make up the object. I'm looking at the shadows that make up the object. So I'm drawing the shapes that make it up, not the object itself.
Yeah. Yep.
They had set up different scenes around the school at one point and had us go around, and that was a crime scene.
Yeah.
And I said, this is the one I'm doing.
There you go. Yeah, you did a whole series in your photography, crime scene photos.
I did.
I did
several.
I don't have a picture of it to share with you guys, but I got the one where it's at the door to the cabin that hangs in my bedroom, and it's one of my favorite.
Yeah,
things.
They were really cool. When developing those photos on the enlarger, I laid pieces of wax paper, like what you'd use in a kitchen, over top of the photo paper, so when it was projected down on the paper, it had that ghostly look to it.
Awesome.
I loved those. I did a whole series on serial killers, and it was every image was a different image from the same viewpoint of a security camera of a woman killing this man. And at the bottom of each one of the images was a quote from a serial killer. And
wow.
I just love telling stories from a photography standpoint.
I am grateful you don't have any digital of me modeling for you. We did some like witchy type photographs.
I did a whole series that was a circus. So
Yep.
each character was a different member of the circus, and you were the psychic.
Yep. Yeah. Goofy me. Yeah, it was not. I was happy to do it, but I'm so glad it's not digitized.
Right.
Now, was this somebody who posed for you guys, or was this just?
Yeah. Her name is Emily, and I remember her from photography because she always developed her photos in the dark room in her bra, and she sang Lady Gaga at the top of her lungs.
Yeah, that's memorable.
Yeah.
Is this her again, or
No,
this
is actually
Marilyn Monroe? That's what I thought. Yeah, guys, check out his Marilyn Monroe. Is that not amazing? I mean, just like the texture of the sheets and yeah.
Yeah, that one
Just
was the paper was
amazing.
white. I covered the entire thing in gray, and then used my eraser to draw a lot of it, and used the pencil to make the darker lines.
Wow. I never thought of that.
I got an
cool.
eraser in one hand and a pencil in the other, and I'm just going through.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, let's scroll down. Let's see here. Is this the scratchy stuff, or is this something else?
So what I did in California, I went to a Bible study where the woman taught us to do Bible journaling. And we were to bring a Bible, like just a regular Bible that we could paint in, we could draw in, and really just have a different spiritual experience as artists. So that was my project from that experience.
Legion says that was great pencil work. The eyes were on point, in my opinion. Absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
He does eyes and hands like you guys would not. I mean, he's just. I've commissioned him for some work, but it's more in his painting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Developing those skills.
Yep. So yeah, that's a really cool. I like the colors in it.
Yeah, I thought I mean, it was
Oh,
just a
now I
fun.
see the wording. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was just a fun, unique experience.
Oh, guys, look at this. I have one of his paintings too. It's in the Bob Ross style that I need to take a
Yes.
picture.
Yeah.
And I do have one of his paintings, but I'm still waiting for the one.
I think your painting is in here. A
Yeah.
picture of it. Yeah. I wanted to learn how to paint like Bob Ross. I said it can't be hard. But what's interesting is it's a very unique style of oil painting. It's a French style of oil painting. It's different from the oil painting that I was classically trained in school.
Oh yeah.
So you have to have special, unique paints and items to make it work, and it's hard. It's not easy. It looks so easy, but it's not.
And people, there's a lot of people that, 18 plus stream. If you're not 18, cover yours. A lot of people shit on Bob Ross, but he's actually very talented.
Yeah, he learned a very unique style of oil painting and used it to his advantage and built a business off of it. But yeah, it's difficult. Bushes and grass. I don't. It's so hard. Like I did classes, like just a class on bushes, to try and figure it out better.
Legion says, I love fogginess and the top is clear as heck for the beauty of the mountain. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, this guy is multi-talented. Ooh, this is cool.
The pour paintings, when that was like a huge thing all of a sudden, I said I have to try it.
The My Little Pony Pinkie Pie, she does pour.
Oh, okay.
And that's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, they were fun. You never know what you're going to get. So as an artist, it's really fun to just see what's going to turn out. It wouldn't be how I would have painted it, but it's really nice to see what comes out of it.
Yeah. Now, with the crackle in this, did you have a special medium that you added, or was just...
It's actually oil for the belts in a treadmill.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it'll help give you the bubbles and stuff. They make stuff now because it became a big deal. And when it was starting to be a bigger deal, I said, I can do this. I want to try it. But they make stuff for it now. But it was actually oil for treadmills.
Nice.
That's yours.
Nope, it's different. Or is it the start of mine?
It's probably one of the starts of it, yeah.
Oh, okay, yep. I own this, guys. Now, would you eventually consider maybe selling some of your art or taking commissions?
Eventually. The oil paintings take a very long time because they take a long time to dry.
Yeah.
So it would be something where I would have to. It would be a very slow process for sure. I don't have a large body of work that I could use to sell like that, and doing commissions would take a long time.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. These few paintings took months to do, just in the drawing process of it, and kind of coming back to it.
I love your clouds. I always have a hard time making clouds look cloudy.
Yeah,
Ooh.
It's harder than you think.
I love this little waterfall one with the bridge.
That's why I did it.
Cool.
I wanted to learn the waterfall stuff.
Legion says,
yeah, absolutely. Acrylic is much better in the sense that it's quick, it's fast. It just doesn't have the blending ability, and it doesn't have the forgiveness of oils.
I'm just double checking. Oh wow, Dumpster, you subscribed with Prime. Wow, thank you. I didn't realize it was a Prime. With Twitch, you get to subscribe with your Amazon Prime, but you can only do it for one person. So thank you for doing that. Now here's some of his photography. You were recreating some Marilyn Monroe photos, and this lady that modeled for him is also a friend.
Yeah, we worked with her. She was a big fan of Marilyn Monroe, and we had to make a book. It was a photo book, so I chose to recreate iconic Marilyn Monroe photos using her, and just make a little book, and it was called My Marilyn.
Yep, I have one of those books around here somewhere. So, yeah, I mean, I think you did wonderfully.
Yeah, I'm really happy with them. They were fun to make. They were really fun for her, being a huge fan of Marilyn Monroe, so she was happy to pose for these and find the outfits.
And I mean, you're a huge fan of Marilyn as well. You
Yeah.
even have a saying of hers tattooed on your arm, right?
I do.
Yep. Yep, that's awesome. So yeah, it looked like it was so much fun to do.
Yeah, the more I can tell a story, the more fun I have with it. And I think that's why it transitioned so well to film from photography. Just the storytelling aspect of it.
Now, did you have the actual photos there on the photo shoot so that you guys can sit there and try to recreate it? Or okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just so iconic
Yeah.
that, yeah. I think that's the last of that set. Lots of stuff to show, folks. Now, was this one of the art shows that you?
Yeah. This was like the final art show that I did for my bachelor's degree in fine art, photography, drawing, painting, graphic design.
The newer one had a better smile. Aw. Hi, Cricket Bug. Welcome in. Thank you for the check-in and lurk. Today, I'm going to say this again. Today we are showcasing a longtime friend of mine. There are his socials. Go check them out. Comment on the latest one and let him know where you're coming from, so that way he knows that, you know, you guys saw him and stopped by. So, but yeah, I mean, some of this is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, these were just photos of people in my life that changed my life. I think that my show was about the relationships that you have with people and how those relationships change you and build you into the person that you stand to be today.
That's awesome.
And each one of these individuals, there is a picture of you, actually.
Oh, yep, my old me. Wow. Yeah, back when I was really heavy. Whew.
Yeah. All of them had
That's
a
me,
unique
folks.
story about the individual and the change that happened in my life based on the relationship for those people.
Aw. Yeah, I don't look like that anymore. I don't even own that shirt anymore. I don't know what happened to it.
Right. And these were all photos where we started in white. If you had to have a white shirt, what would it be? And then it was if you were a color, if you were to commit a crime, if you were a piece of candy, and if you were a celebrity impersonator.
Nice.
So
Very
it was
cool.
really fun. I loved being in the studio, doing the makeup, doing costumes and hair and that kind of fun stuff. Just trying to figure out different things for them. They were fun to do.
Very cool.
Relationships and the negative effects of those relationships. So it represents 3 different people and the lessons that I learned from them. Not letting somebody put shackles on you, guarding your heart, understanding that you sometimes have to hold a little bit back, and then even people who are close to you can stab you in the back.
Yep.
So, lessons that you learn. And this was like the beginning of miniatures for me. I made little shadow boxes about places that had changed my life.
Oh, wow, okay.
So this was like where I spent my summers, and then I have one for my car, one for my childhood home, my first job, things like that.
Awesome.
So places that change your life. My childhood home. That one actually sold, and it sold before the art show started.
Wow.
I sold it for $100.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah, we had people who came through my first apartment when I moved out of my parents for the first time. It represents the dining room table.
There you go.
My first job.
Yep. That's where we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at you and I'm like, oh dear God, not another preppy kid.
Right.
And you looked at me like I was a dusty, crusty piece of old antique thing.
Yeah. I think my first impression of you was frumpy. I think
Yeah.
that was the word I used.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm overnight's kid. We've seen things. We do things.
Yes,
You can't
yes.
imagine.
The overnight is a whole different animal.
Oh my goodness, yes.
My first car.
Yep, I remember that car. Many
Me
adventure.
too. Me too.
It is missed.
Yes, yes it is. Yes it is. She got
Yes.
left in California. She wasn't able to make it back to the East Coast with me.
Yep. You've gone back and forth
Over and over and over.
over and over. Now here's some of his special effects makeup, guys. Like
Yeah.
I said, he does everything. Legion says a college is the greatest for life. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things learned. So now with this picture, or this special effects, how did you create that?
That's wax, actually. You just put a blob of wax on the skin, and you can use fake teeth or you can use your own teeth, and just bite into it to put the bite mark into the skin, and then from there you just touch it up with makeup and fake blood.
Awesome. And then
Different, it's actually like latex that you paint on, and then you can pull it apart. There's cotton balls stuffed underneath it, tissue paper and toilet paper, things like that. I learned stage makeup because I wanted to be able to do the makeup that I wanted to do to tell the story that I wanted to tell in the photograph that I wanted to take. I didn't like having to wait for somebody to do hair, somebody to do makeup, somebody to set up the lights, and somebody to do the makeup. Like all that. I would just let me do it myself. I'll get it done in 10 minutes. It'll be exactly the way I want it, and I don't have to wait on anybody else.
yep, that's awesome. I wouldn't hang that up, but that's just me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people had fun when I learned how to do makeup, and a friend of mine, she came up and did makeup for me in one of the classes, and then left the makeup on. The situation for her makeup was that she had been beaten in the face with a baseball bat.
Oh.
So I did her makeup, and then she put her sunglasses on, and she went to the gas station and pumped her gas and went and got her groceries and went home in that makeup.
Wow. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. All right, so now we're going to switch over to his Instagram. Now, this is a little bit different than what we have. Been recording this whole time. Sorry, guys. I forgot to click the voice. So we've been sitting here chatting for however long and not realizing you guys didn't hear a thing.
Oh, no.
So we were talking about him, like, restoring the ponies and doing different things with Hi Sassy Potatoes. Different places where he would get them, and they would look rather rough, and he would restore them and clean them up. Now the cleanup process can be rather tedious for doing restoring ponies.
It can, and I kind of set myself up for quite the process, because my videos, I show getting the product, looking at the pony, we talk about the history of it a little bit, and then from there I clean it up and I show what it looks like after it's cleaned. So when I do my thrift hauls, those videos, I have to identify everything, then I have to film the haul, then I have to go clean everything and restyle them, and then I have to film the B-reel footage, which is the footage that you'll see after I talk about the toy. Then you'll see it spin on a carousel after it's all cleaned.
Have you ever found a pony you haven't been able to identify?
No. I have found accessories that I'm not positive on. I have found pieces of clothing that I can't identify. And what's really nice about the collector community is that when I don't know something, I can ask, and there is somebody out there who can tell me, oh, I do know what that brush is, or I do know where that scarf goes. I recognize that doll. I can tell you what it is. Sometimes it's difficult to identify, but most things have very unique face paint or makeup or unique colorings that give me an idea of where it comes from.
Wispy, this is a very long time friend. 20 years we've known each other. He is a multi-crafter. He has his own YouTube. Let me go ahead and post that again. It is pinned to the top of the chat, but I know sometimes people on mobile don't always get to see the pins. So those are his, that's his YouTube and his Instagram. His YouTube is mostly about the toy collecting he does and restoration and stuff like that. So collecting, for the adult,
The adult collector.
The adult collectors, yeah. So, and the second one is his Instagram. We've shown a bunch of stuff from everything from drawing, painting, and whatnot, and glass working from the Discord. So the VOD will be up after this. Legion says that glass work is very cool. So.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I felt like, I come from the Crystal City. I should probably have some glass under my belt as an artist.
It looks real good on the resume and everything. So, some of your photography too. When I met you, you were doing the photography, but you were in college at that point.
Yeah.
So
I had switched more to photography at that point. I did have teachers who told me, "Oh, you should really pursue drawing." But I really liked the instant gratification of photography for me. I could snap the picture and print it and be done.
Yeah, and this is back when 35 millimeter was more prevalent. Digital was barely even out there, and if it was, it was expensive.
We took an actual class to teach us how to do digital photography. There was a beginner's Photoshop class, It wasn't the thing. I don't even know, going into photography now, if you'd probably have a couple classes on classic photography, but you'd probably do everything digitally, I would imagine now, especially going to careers.
Yeah, I can't even find 35 millimeter film.
Yeah.
It's hard to find. You got to special order it or find a specialty shop and like I said, I told you last night, I still have my mom's 35 millimeter Nikon camera that was top of the line back in the day, and now it's like an antique.
Right. I know. My digital camera that I bought for college, the digital SLR, was 8 megapixels. That's how big it was. Your phone is in the 20s now.
Yeah.
It's crazy the quality of those pictures compared to what it is today.
Yeah. Now, this pony looks like it's felt.
Mm-hmm. It's flocked.
Flocked. Okay. That stuff is a nightmare.
Yeah.
It fuzzes out, and
It's
gets
really
everywhere.
hard to find good quality ones
Yeah.
at this point in the game.
Yeah, see this one, like,
That's
the difference...
G2.
That's G2?
Right. So what's interesting about the second generation is when the first generation started to end, Hasbro was acquiring other toy companies, and a new toy company made the designs for Generation 2. That's why it looks so drastically different from what you're used to, because it wasn't really designed by Hasbro. It was designed by another toy company acquired by Hasbro, and Hasbro released them. They didn't do so well in America. They have a longer life in Europe. Most of the time I get mine from France at this point. But I really enjoy them. I played with them a lot as a kid. They had a lot of adventures for me, so I really enjoyed Generation 2.
Yeah, this is more the style I'm used to.
Yeah,
You know?
Generation 1.
Yeah. Anything else just looks kind of wrong. You know, like I had mentioned earlier, they look kind of anorexic to me. Like, girl, you need to eat something. So, and it can be quite costly getting the toys to review and stuff like that.
It can. Thankfully, I do a lot of secondhand stuff, but at the same time, that can even get costly, especially when you're purchasing from eBay or things like that. If I can't buy it in a lot, then think of it every time I buy a pony, it's probably between $10 to $20 for the pony,
Yep.
on top of between $5 to $10 for shipping, depending on who you're dealing with, and it's probably $15 to $20 for every pony. So if I have a video where I'm doing 10, it could be upwards of $200 just for the products for that video. So it can be very costly.
The sets can get expensive too.
Yeah. The birthday videos have a higher budget, just because I'm starting to do more themes and trying to do more photos and stuff like that.
Well, there's one. We're down back to Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day was the first transition that I did into trying to do a different type of photography for them. Instagram's been a monster that I haven't been able to fully get a hold of, and I've made adjustments to what's been posted. I've done more artistic style photos to get more likes, more follows, that kind of stuff. Transition to just My Little Pony posts. Anything else beyond My Little Pony normally lives within one of those bubbles, just because they seem to be what's popular and what people really like. So I'll stick that on Instagram, and we've seen an increase in followers and likes from that transition.
Yeah, and you're different as a collector from the box collectors that never open their boxes. You open, and you always say, like, okay, box collectors, avert your eyes, and you actually take it out.
Yeah. There are some things that stay in a package. I have a couple that are from France, and the only reason they stay in their package is because they are variations of the ones that were released in America, and they're so close. It's a slight variation in hair color or body color or matte versus sparkly. This one has this color, this one doesn't. So they stay in their packaging. Plus they have an international package, which I don't have examples of. So they stay in their packaging. But I have opened Generation 2 ponies, just ripping those things open.
Oh, I know, and people are like, oh my god.
I'm sure box collectors scream a little bit, and I feel bad. I feel bad the same way I do when people customize a My Little Pony, because I feel like there might be a collector out there that's looking for that pony, and I've just ruined it by customizing it. I feel the same way when it comes to opening. They could be looking for that in box, and there's going to be very few in box, so I'm ripping it open, and an in-box collector is losing the ability to collect that. So there is a part of me that feels bad for it, but at the same time, if I'd have bought it new, I'd have opened it. And I don't think there's very many videos of people opening toys from the early 90s, like right out of their packages.
Right.
So you get to have an unboxing experience of opening that from the 90s.
That's awesome. So do you have any plans for the future for, either your YouTube channel or arts and crafts or...
I have been learning toy photography, doll photography, stop motion animation. I am not a Barbie collector, but I really like the made-to-move body and the posability of it. So I do collect made-to-move bodies, and I'll randomly buy a doll for its head and take it off and stick it on a new body.
Decapitated.
Yeah, I Frankenstein on some dolls together. I did it to Hannah Montana and Dolly Parton. I had a Dolly Parton doll and a Hannah
remember
Montana.
that video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I learned that kind of stuff, and eventually I would like to have a stop motion, like a sitcom show with toys. I think that would be really fun, but it's down the line. Building sets and things like that is difficult when I don't have the space to keep them safe. Yeah. I need that stuff to look the same today as it does 2 years from now, so that way it doesn't change that much when we're making those.
Yeah.
So it's definitely thoughts down the line for sure. I don't know what I'm going to do next year because this year was birthdays. I do have ideas and plans on doing another advent calendar.
Oh, awesome.
For December. It's a larger cost. It's a lot of work because you have to make each individual video and then make sure they all go up on those days. You have to have 24 to 25 items for that. So I've done it once. I did it my first year on YouTube. I didn't do it last year, but I have thought about it, and I do have products stored away for Christmas. I have products stored away for Halloween videos, and I even have products stored away for next Easter. So
awesome. Wispy says I was never into My Little Ponies. No, I mean I was, and like I said, the dolls like Gem and Spectra and stuff like that. I was actually more of a tomboy than anything, but my mom still tried with the Barbie dolls and stuff like that.
I was into animals. My mom grew up on a farm and she had horses. So horses were one of my favorite animals, and my family bought, back in the day, it was Grand Champion. If you guys remember Grand Champion horses, they were toys that you could purchase, and they had brushable hair, but they were more like actual horses, and they were plastic. I wanted to take everything in the tub, and those did not do well in the tub. So my mom's best friend at the time had a little girl, Jessica, and she's like, well, I get Jessica these My Little Ponies, and she plays with them in the tub, so why don't you get one of those for Chip? It can be a tub horse, And it was from there, boom, I was hooked.
Awesome.
Colorful, fantasy, and the G1 show was really great. There were monsters and evil villains, and it was very fantasy oriented, so I really liked it.
Wispy says I was into MTG. I'm not sure what's MTG. Yep, tub ponies. Yeah, I had toys for the tubs, and unfortunately, I don't know what Magic the Gathering. Ah, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
My Little Ponies did not do well in the tub.
No, they had a metal washer in their tail, and you get some nasty tail rust.
Yeah.
But back then we didn't know what was going to happen.
No.
But yeah, they went in the tub. They played in the dirt. They did construction in the driveway with the dump trucks and the bulldozers. They fought the dinosaurs on the playground, like the playset. They had all kinds of adventures. It was My Little Pony. It was Littlest Pet Shop for me.
Yeah, my Little Ponies had a lot of different adventures. They were always saving the boy dolls. Mm-hmm. Is what I like. Yeah, we're gonna save the boys because boys aren't that smart.
Right? They always need saving. I didn't even have like Barbies or anything as a kid. I had an Ariel doll and I had an Eric doll, and the Ariel doll, she had tons of adventures. She went on adventures with My Little Ponies. I had a Castle Keeps gargoyle. There was this little goblin with a brushable tail and his eyes glue in the dark. He was fantastic. He was always diddling around doing something.
Legion says, great artwork over friendship overall. You're very talented. I appreciate the pencil and glass work. You did the ponies proud as well. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's very, like I said, I don't think there's a craft that someone could give you that you couldn't do.
I would try my best. And because I consider myself a mimic, as long as I can watch you do it, I should be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and do it well, let me tell you.
Yeah, and I follow instructions. Like I am, like when it comes to cooking, I follow the recipe. Like
Yep.
make sure that science comes out. So if there's a specific way to do it, I'm going to do it that way.
Let me tell you, you and I have had many of an experience in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
The pumpkin juice fiasco.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that my blender didn't twist and it just lifted.
Yeah. I thought you had to twist and lift, and that just unhooked the whole thing.
My apartment kitchen smelled like pumpkin juice for months. Even how many times do we wash and scrub and mop? Like an ungodly amount of time, and just the scent lingered.
Yeah.
What was the hardest rehab for a pony?
I would say I've had a couple that had really, really, really matted hair, and I've had to take it very small amounts, very tiny strands, keep it wet, use a strainer on it, and straighten it, maybe 10 strands of hair at a time.
Wow.
And just go through it until I can get the kinks out.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with plastic, so if we can heat up the plastic a little bit, we can readjust some of the dents or the kinks to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oil washing it will help as well, but sometimes it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
It depends on the hair type too. The more recent ponies have polypropylene, so that's a little bit harder to deal with. But I use a metal brush too, so that way we're not creating friction and frizz and static electricity in the hair by rubbing plastic against plastic.
Yeah. And I've seen some of the ones where you've reviewed and the hair just crumbled.
Yeah, we have disintegrating hair syndrome in the 3rd generation when we use a cheaper hair fiber, and you'll see that on Family Dollar ponies, you'll see that on the Avon exclusive ponies. Store locations like JCPenney's and Kohl's might also receive ones like that because they are a cheaper made product. We're making it for a group of people who need a product that is a little bit cheaper, more of a budget style product, so that it's widely available for everyone depending on their price range. So when we do budget products, we cut corners and we end up with that. So all of those Generation 3 ponies that have disintegrating hair syndrome, I'm going to have to rehair all of those. I have the tools. I'm going to attempt it. I'm learning how to do it. I have a huge tub of My Little Ponies from the 1st generation from a friend of mine that I rescued when her family moved out of their house. And they're going to need some attention. I've got wings to replace. I've got hair to replace. Ooh. So I'm going to be learning.
Yeah. Now, what you missed at the beginning when we started to show the Instagram, he does more than just My Little Pony for toys. You do Monster High, the Disney I Love You. Is it what it is?
Disney, Illy Forever, I Love You Forever. I really liked those because they were regular everyday people and they were Disney bounding. So their outfits are designed to represent a character that they love, but they're not cosplaying as that character. Because as adults, when we go into a Disney park, we can't wear a costume. It confuses the other people that you're not a member of the cast member of Disney. So you can't walk into Disney dressed like Cinderella as an adult. You're told you're not allowed to do that. So how do we find a way to represent our Disney characters that we want to dress up like when we go to the park? We Disney bound. We find ways to use outfit pieces and accessories to represent that character. That's what those dolls do, and their outfit pieces and accessories work really well for Barbie. So I have the made-to-move Barbies that I'm using for doll photography and stop motion, and then I'm buying these Disney Illy dolls and I'm snatching their things and giving them to these made-to-moves, and they're having the ability to use Disney products in these photos and things like that. That makes it feel a little more casual, a little more realistic, not so untouchable. I feel like sometimes Barbie's outfits or fashions can feel unrealistic for the everyday person. So I want these characters to feel like you know.
So what was your most favorite find when you go thrifting for toys?
Gosh, I found a Generation 1 My Little Pony show stable for $5. That was really amazing.
Wow.
In South Carolina, I got a Generation 4 My Little Pony playset for 87 cents.
Wow.
That was pretty cool. I have went to a toy show that I found an entire booth that was just My Little Ponies, and I didn't even know what to do.
Oh.
I'd never seen so many, and as a child, when I was old enough to really love them, Generation 1 was dying. So there were ponies in the store. I did get new ones for presents as Christmas and birthday. But a lot of the time, once I had a computer at home after 8th grade, I did not have a computer at my house until 8th grade.
I was in high school, like a senior.
They told me I couldn't even go into high school until I had a computer because I wouldn't be successful. It was crazy. And I had dial-up internet. So I would sit there in the home office. It was my dad's gun room where he did his bills, and the guns were in the cabinets and stuff. And I'd sit there and look on eBay and dream about being able to buy these ponies because nobody was going to buy them for me unless I bought them myself. So as an adult, now I can, and that's really exciting to find those ponies. The first thing I did was buy all of the Flutter ponies.
Yeah.
They were my favorite. I had to have them all. I never had one as a kid. And it was just exciting to go out and find them for sure. I love hunting for them. But I think going out, I would say the play sets, because you just don't find a lot of Generation 1. So anytime I find Generation 1 ponies, it's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Do you have an absolute favorite one out of all of them? Or it's too hard?
Generation 1, I would say Firefly is probably a favorite for me just because she was the first pony I ever had. She came with a VHS, and that pony is special to me in that sense of that was my first pony. I've always really had an attachment to her as a toy. So that would probably be my favorite when it comes to Generation 1. Beyond that, it really depends on the generation and the characterization of the pony.
Gotcha.
I will love you for your look, but I will fall in love with you for your personality.
There you go.
So once I know the personality of the character, that's when I make my choice.
There you go. Wispy asks, how much was the most expensive pony you rescued?
I would say individual item that I have purchased into the 60s.
Wow.
Into the 60s for one individual item. Normally that's going to be an inbox, and it really depends on what I'm looking for. So Generation 3 has a lot of outfits, and they have a lot of accessories, and that's really important to me for the character. So I don't want just the pony. I also want her outfit, her necklace, her shoes. If that's part of who she was, I want those things for her. So sometimes I have to buy them new in box, and sometimes that can be expensive. And one of the characters that I really love is Sunset Shimmer. She's from the 4th generation, and getting one of her dolls was very expensive. Very expensive.
I can imagine.
And there's still some today, like I'll look and go, I just can't. I can spend $100 to make a video. I can spend $100 to buy 5, 6, 8 ponies, but I can't spend $100 on one because it doesn't make a video. When we get through all of the ones that we can, and all we have left are grails, then we'll do grail videos, and that's where the channel will go. Eventually, we've been working our way through G3 this year, and there are a couple ponies we've had to leave behind. They're too expensive, they're hard to find, I don't have an option to be selling one right now. And eventually, when we get to the end of the book, and we've gotten every single one, we'll go back to the beginning and who do we miss? And those are going to be the ones we're going to hunt for and find. And eventually we'll have them all. If that Pokemon gotta catch 'em all mentality.
Yep. I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. Now with your YouTube, you have finally gotten to the point with followers and views that you're actually starting to earn on that. That's awesome. So check out his YouTube, people. Follow. He does more than just My Little Pony on there. He does a variety of different toys.
Yeah.
But My Little Pony, I think, is like...
It is the main part of my personal collection. It's the main part of what really drives the channel. I find that people are more interested in that content. And I have had people ask for other content. If it's something that I'm going to be purchasing and collecting, then I'll share it. But if it's something that's really not part of my collection, then I probably wouldn't purchase it and go out of my way for it. But I think that it's good to show a wide variety of what you collect, because if people collect more than one thing, they do have their main collection, but there's other things that they like. And I also feel like giving my audience just a little something different every now and then is really nice. Monster High, I think, was the first thing that I deviated with, really. Because once it came out, I said, I have to have it. I took my brand new credit card and I ran to Walmart and I bought every single one the first day they came out, and then I ran to Target and bought that one, and then I ran to the next store and bought the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't missing out on Monster High again.
Right.
I wasn't going to do it. So that one I had to do. From there, like, I'll randomly buy Pokemon things that I really love. I love their figures. I love Care Bears.
Yeah.
So the plushies from Basic Fun are fantastic. I absolutely love them. I collect them, but there's not a lot to talk about when we review it. It's kind of like you pop it out of the box and, wow, it's super soft. I love it and it's cute. Great, thanks. So they become like, shorts or things like that. But there are other things that I collect. And
I was going to ask,
show
is there
them.
anything in the future that you want to start collecting? Or are you at the point where, like, I collect so much stuff now, I cannot afford to collect something new?
I'm always open to new obsessions, new hyperfixations of different toys. Part of being in a collector community is being exposed to things that I didn't know existed.
Yep. Like, I introduced you to Spectra.
Yeah, I had no idea who Spectra was. That's the funny thing is, as a child, if I'd known Spectra, if I had known Gem, I didn't know Gem until I was much later on. A friend of mine introduced me to her because his sister watched her. Mm-hmm. And I love Gem, but I didn't know her as a young kid. I would have loved to have them. Same thing with Masters of the Universe. I didn't know who He-Man and all of that was as a kid. Oh my word.
She-Ra.
She-Ra blew my mind.
Yep.
I love Masters of the Universe, like that really
Stuff
cool
I grew
fantasy element to all of it. Right up my alley. If I had them as a child, I would have collected them.
We have a running joke. He'll say something like, God, I feel old, or this hurts, or that, and I'm like, wait 10 years. Because there's actually 10 years difference between
Mm-hmm.
our ages. So I grew up on a lot of stuff that he was, like, maybe not exposed to, but later on you were. So when you bring up these things, it's like such nostalgia that I'm like, I remember that. You know? Like, you showed me the commercial for Spectra.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, I remember that. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And there's a lot of healing that can come from the nostalgia of things.
Mm.
Your life is a lot simpler as a child. In the grand scheme of things, not everybody's experience is like that. So being cautious of that, but having the ability to have those childhood toys or those childhood memories, those things around you that can help you with anxiety, depression, that can just help you with clarity in your life. And I feel better when I'm surrounded by beautiful, colorful fantasy things. My biggest thing as an individual, I think, was just coming to terms with how boring reality was.
Yep.
I would watch all these fantastic things on television, read all these wonderful stories, and the world was just so boring. Mm-hmm. So being able to escape into a fantasy world and have those things.
Now, when I first met you, you were actually writing a fantasy book, but you've put that kind of aside a little bit.
Well, the reason it's on the side burner is because everything that belongs to that is in my storage unit in California.
Oh.
I did not grab any of that so I was originally going to drive from California to New York. When I had to switch to a plane, my entire storage unit became a suitcase.
Oof.
And I only had so much, and I had to do it like on the fly that night. And I was dealing with a drunk person at the same time.
Yeah.
So I just had, what I could deal with at the time, and I left it out there. So it has been on the back burner because so much of it has been written. And I will pick it up and finish it. And I'm interested to see the person that started writing it to the person that's going to finish it.
Right.
And how that's
gonna
going to affect the storyline, for sure. And who those characters will become.
Maybe some rewriting you'll need to do. Because I know I look back at some of the stuff that I've written and have put on the back burner for, and I'm like, what was I thinking when I wrote this?
Yeah.
What was I
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, I think they'll be fleshing out for sure. I think originally writing it, I was moving faster in my mind than my hand could write.
Yep.
And I think a lot of it is I'm trying to get you to these points that you need to get to, and then from there I'll have to flesh it out.
Yeah.
And I kind of know who the characters are and kind of how to develop them, who's going to die, who's not, that kind of stuff.
Now, when do you plan on going back out to California? Is it like when you find a place of your own finally,
No,
or
I am going to. I'm working on saving up my vacation time at my normal job, and then I'm going to fly to California and rent a minivan and pack it with my stuff and drive it back.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
gonna be a nice trip.
Yeah. I can't use a packing service to pack up my storage unit. One, that's really expensive, but two, there are things in the storage unit that packing services will not pack and send across the country because they're in California.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I have to go do it myself. But it is something that I plan on doing. I'd like to do it before the end of the year, but it really depends on just like the money to do it, to
Yeah.
rent a vehicle and the gas to drive back and forth. I'd like to do it before it gets wintry.
Yeah, because moving in New York, anything sucks. And we have two seasons. We have winter and construction.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, we jumped right from like snow showers to heat wave.
Yeah.
And today's going to be another one of our scorchers, record breaking highs again today. And of course, we're going to be going out afterwards to the craft store because they have a massive sale, and then eat, and we're going to be dying out there in that heat. At least I am. You're used to the South Carolina. We both met in New York. He moved to California. I moved to South Carolina. He moved to South Carolina and stayed when I came back to New York. So he's all southernized. So like our gorgeous days, he's like, oh yeah, this is cold, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm always in jeans and normally a hoodie because I love to have a pocket. But I also like having the ability to have a sleeve that I can pull down when I get cold and I can shove up when I get hot.
Yeah. Yeah. And here it's like, when it gets in the 80s here in New York, we're all dying and turning on our air conditioner. And you're walking around, in like heavy pants and shirts, and I'm just like,
yeah, I mean, I just ditched my beanie a couple of weeks ago because like now it's a little warm to wear a beanie, but like I've been so used to the warm weather. It was really hard going back to cold weather. I know, going from California to South Carolina, they used to pick on me because I would literally get the shivery shakes like in the cold. And it wasn't that cold, but it was really cold to me.
my first winter in South Carolina, people thought I was like on drugs or something because I'm walking around in, shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops, and they're in like heavy parkas, and I'm like, I'm from New York. Okay, it's 50 degrees out. That's tank top weather,
Right? Yeah. I think about that when the weather starts to break and everybody's driving with their windows down and they got their coat off in their car. I'm going to be brave and walk into Walmart without my jacket on today.
Yep. Yep. And then, you see all these southern people, and it is just, it's funny. My first winter down there, we didn't even get a dusting of snow, and the entire town shut down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was crazy to me. I couldn't believe. I think the thing that bothered me the most was the post office shut down when it snowed. Isn't the post office supposed to run rain or shine? Like,
Yeah.
Like nothing's supposed to stop the postman?
And then instead of salt on their roads, they put a beer byproduct. And I'm like, how are you not having alcoholics lick the road? And my dad said, well, the alcohol is cheap enough down here. They don't have to do that.
Oh, yeah. I think it's strange. Like, different parts of the country, you can go into a regular store. In California, I went to the Walmart and I could have bought liquor. I could have bought wine at the Walmart. I go into a regular grocery store, the Publix or whatever it might be out there, and Ralph's was the name of it out there. You could buy liquor and wine. I mean, a $5 bottle, plastic bottle of whiskey or vodka or whatever at the regular grocery store.
I know, and up here it's like you can buy beer.
Yeah.
and that's just about it. You got to go to like the specialty stores
Mhm.
and stuff like that to buy your liquor and harder stuff. Some grocery stores will have wine, like Wegmans I think does.
Yeah, specialty wines and stuff, but
Yeah, but
it's just like strange. But I also find it strange, like coming back to the area and now we have fireworks.
yep,
That was illegal the last time I was here.
yep, yep. They were setting some off last night that were better than the city ones. You know, just regular residents setting them off. They lasted longer, were prettier,
Mhm.
and this is for like city people, like our tax dollars at work. The
Right.
show that they put on down at the it's still a high school, down in that
Yeah.
area. That they don't even last 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and it's like boom, boom.
Fireworks are fireworks to me.
Yeah.
I've seen them. I don't need to see them. I don't normally watch them on 4th of July or New Year's. I'll watch the ball drop. I don't
Yep.
necessarily do it like in that moment. I'll watch it on YouTube if I miss it.
Yep.
But
Nobody has
fireworks,
redeemed treats yet, so you.
I don't do it.
Yeah, Luna's begging for kitty treats. She's like, I know you're streaming. Why hasn't anybody loved me yet?
Eh,
It's a redeem, baby. You gotta wait. Your adoring fans will get you, I'm sure. If not, we'll treat you after. Yes, maybe we'll even pick you up a fish sandwich.
Ooh.
I know, it's gotta be from McDonald's. We made the mistake last time.
Mm.
But
She's
yeah,
picky.
very picky. I didn't realize fish sandwiches, really rated that different for a cat to turn her nose up at one. But yeah, you got her a fish sandwich from Burger King,
Mm-hmm.
and she
Refused.
wouldn't have anything to do with it.
No.
Oh, give Luna treats and treat Ams. Ooh, we get to treat Chip too.
Ooh.
All right. So, do you want a crunchy or a sticky sassy for Luna? We're not going to be eating cat treats. No.
I had a cousin who ate dog treats.
My brother ate them.
He loved the
We'll give her crunchies.
pizza ones.
Yeah, we'll give her crunchies because she's got more crunchies. The lickies are a little bit more of a pain in the butt. All right, girl. Your adoring fan has given you kitty treats. Come get them. And for treats for us, Chip, what would you like? We've got saltwater taffy, we got Mounds, and we've got Reese's peanut butter cups.
Mounds.
Good choice. I think that's what I'm going to have too. Thank you, Sassy. We got treated.
Ooh.
Yep, I went and bought not just because I can't have chocolate in this house and not eat it.
Well, yeah.
But for streaming, I bought these, and you can tell I've already been into them. So we'll have to pick up some more.
I have to not have cookies in my room because I will eat them in the middle of the night. I'll get up, get a drink of water, go to the bathroom, come back and eat a cookie and go back to sleep.
So Chip, Sassy, I don't know if I said hi, Sassy, but hello, is getting into the painting, and she's using like different media, like scrunched up aluminum paper or paper bags and stuff, and she is like, you can tell from like the first time she tried it to now, like how much she's
Did
amazingly.
she do the flowers and trees? Did you do a showcase on her work?
I don't think I've done a showcase on her yet. Have we? We haven't done a showcase yet. Oh yeah, we did do a showcase.
Yeah.
Let's get sassy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really, really cool.
Yep. So, thank you for the treats.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat later too, so
Right.
it's just debating where we want to go.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of choices once we get down by the craft store. So, I'm actually painting my coffee table while listening to you. Awesome!
That's really cool.
Don't eat the ponies. No,
Mm-mm.
ponies are not edible.
Ponies are friends, not food.
No. Nope. So, but
I
yeah,
always wanted to cover the top of my coffee table with pogs.
that would be so cool. And that's another thing that the only pog I have left is like the big one. I don't know. I don't remember what it was called.
A slammer.
Slammer.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a Sagittarius on it.
Yep.
That's all I have left. So, yes, thank you, Wispy. He knew what I was talking about.
Yep.
But let's snooze those ads. So yeah, these are two of Chip's socials. Stop by, say hi, let him know where you came from, so he knows.
Mhm.
Just an amazing artist, an awesome friend. 20 years.
Right.
That's a lifelong friendship, and you got a good friend. So, but yeah. Anything else you want to discuss or chat with people about? Do you guys have any questions for him?
Yeah, any questions, comments, concerns?
Concerns? Sometimes
I'm
there's.
so used to running training classes in my other part of my life that.
When I hear from this man, well, let me tell you a story. I know the words that follow are going to be concerning.
Yeah.
And that came from what? A Care Bear?
Yes, it did. A lot of. It's weird, like, to rewatch things that I loved as a kid because you will hear things that I say all the time. And one of the things that I watched nonstop as a kid, and even as an adult, I still watch it once a year, is the Care Bear Nutcracker.
Yeah.
That is my absolute favorite Care Bear anything. I love that story.
We've got a raid! Another cat lady. I was going to raid into you.
Uh,
Oh, well, welcome in, raiders. Thank you. How did your stream go? I know you were diamond painting. And she says, haha, I was faster. Yeah, I was telling Chip about you. But welcome in, raiders. I hope you all are doing well. Make sure to do your self-care and all of that. I know, people need to de-stream or do whatever they need to do. Go potty, get something to eat or drink,
right.
the usual stuff. You're welcome. Thank you. I saw you gave me a shout out too, so thank you. Oh wow. Another cat resubscribed for 5 months? Thank you. Thank you for the subscription.
Ooh.
Holy wow. Thank you.
We'll have to get you some, sub goals. If this many people subscribe, then this video will be made.
Yep.
This stream will happen.
Or
something like
if
that.
I reach a raid train, whatever amount, a pie to the face.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
I'm close to 500 followers, so I'm gonna do a special stream when I'm there, and there's gonna be different goals. And yeah, there's probably going to be a pie to the face because by then my foot will be healed and I can get into the shower.
We need to get you Pie Face, the board game, so that you
Oh.
just put the pie in it, and then you have to put your face in it and crank it. If you do another one, you got to crank it again, and it's gonna pop that pie in your face. Remember that game?
Good.
That was huge.
Oh yeah. It's messy though, so I would have to I'm so OCD about messes. My
We'll
apartment
get
is
you a
driving.
rain poncho, and we're just gonna fill it with
tarps.
Cool Whip.
Yep, and put tarps down so that it doesn't get anywhere. I have a home health aide, so I don't want her to have to clean up pie stuff going,
Well,
what
she'd
did you
probably
do in
think
here?
It was weird if she had to come to your house and clean up a lot of whipped cream.
Yeah, she's like, what have you been into?
Right.
And let me tell you, my adult brain, I see whipped cream and I'm like, oh, somebody had fun.
Right. Especially when it's not in the kitchen.
Right. Oh, I have enough messes in the kitchen, let me tell you. I was trying to bake one night, and one of the streamers I go and hang out with calls me Sugar Tits. And what happened was I was reaching for something in the cupboard, and the sugar dumped down on me, and it wasn't sealed, so I wound up with a cleavage full of sugar. So now he calls me Sugar Tits.
I think of the John Wayne movie, The Cowboys, when I think of Sugar Tits, because the cook that was part of the cattle herd there, when he found out they were going to have little kids running the cattle, he said, well, I'll make a whole bunch of Sugar Tits, and that was just like a clump of brown sugar and a piece of cheesecloth that the kids could chew on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think of Sugar Tits that way.
Cool. Alright, well, let's see here.
You can show the YouTube if you want, and then...
Yep, let me scroll. Duh. Oop. There's his YouTube channel. You see I'm already subscribed. So let's see here. Is this your?
That's the main landing page, the home page, videos, shorts, and then there are things that are divided into playlists for you.
Yeah. So like I said, he if you go to playlists, you'll see that he does more than just My Little Pony. You've done Monster High.
Yeah.
Fun-
Harry Potter,
some-
Unicorn Academy.
Some shorts and stuff. Care Bears there. The Cave Club.
Yeah.
Your ASMR videos.
Yeah.
Disney.
Fidget toys.
Oh, the Magic Mixies Pixlings.
Oh yes. Ugh, I think they're dead, unfortunately. I really liked those. They were really super cute.
There's your Monster High.
Yes.
Which, I'm weird. I'm kind of picky about the Barbie styles and types. I think it's because I did grow up on Gem and Spectra.
Yeah.
That just a normal run-of-the-mill Barbie doll. Now, mind you, Barbie is amazing. They have covered just about every
Oh yeah. And
aspect
as
out
we
there.
go on, Barbie continues to expand
Yeah.
and be very inclusive. So it's very
Yeah.
nice that you can find a Barbie today that will make you feel like that doll was for you, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But Monster High is just a whole other vibe. I love the spooky and the cobwebs and the monsters and the goo and the slime and the bugs and all of it.
Yeah, but
I
I think.
have creepy crawlers. You remember that machine where you used to make those wiggly jiggly
Yep.
things? Yeah.
Yep. So, like I said, I'm a little. I don't want to say snobbish, but particular, because, like I said, I grew up with Gem and Spectra, and you couldn't get far enough away from Barbie than those two
Yeah.
kinda. Spectra, the doll didn't look anorexic.
Right.
And Spectra had that metallic alien skin.
Yeah.
So the Monster High. I'm gonna snooze the ad one more time, because we're gonna look to rate out here in a second. The Monster High kind of like harkens me back to that a little bit, and plus they're monsters.
Yeah.
Like
And they have
mummies
different body
and-
types, which is so nice. Seeing plus size dolls,
Yep.
having short ones and tall ones with prosthetics. We even have a non-binary character, a they them, which is very nice to see representation in a doll line for children that feel like that is the doll that represents who they are.
Yep. Oh, we're here. So let's see what your latest video is. I don't think I've checked it out yet. KU My Little Pony Equestria Girl Cards.
Yeah.
Was
Those
that what
were
we
really
talked about
fun.
last night?
Yeah. Yeah, they have like the card of answers, and they're kind of tarot card like. They have a bit of wisdom on the back from the character, so you ask it a question and then you shuffle and then you pull the card out and it gives you wisdom. So you're trying to collect those in the set, and they have special ones that are the one of 8 that you get in the box. It was really fun. I'm a huge Equestria Girls fan from the 4th generation, and they
That's
never made cards.
That's the ponies that are in human form.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is a magic mirror in Equestria, which is the land that the ponies live in. And that magic mirror was used in the past by a great wizard to send evil beings into another dimension. Those evil beings were these sirens that could persuade you with their song. Eventually, another character gets where she is rebellious and doesn't want to listen. She escapes Equestria through that mirror and takes over that world. And so we have our main character in Generation 4 have to go through the mirror to try and save that world from the villains that now inhabit it.
Gotcha.
So that's why we see the transition into humans. Hasbro was trying to jump on the Monster High train for sure.
Yeah, gotcha.
The dolls are not the greatest quality by any means, but the show and the characters were fantastic. So I think of them as the characters, and then I love them, even though the dolls are kind of crap.
Yeah. Another cat lady, thank you for the lurk. She's checking on cats and grabbing food. Yum. Yum. Gosh. Okay. Say there is a tornado that's going to hit your home. What toy, if you have a chance to grab one toy? Oh, the look on his face.
Right, just one. It has to be My Little
Hi,
Pony.
Lala.
That's for sure. And I would probably choose a Generation 1. I'd probably choose Firefly because she was my first.
Gotcha.
If I could only keep one from the entire collection, I would have to go that way.
There you go.
She's the first. She started it all.
Lala, this is my friend Chip. We've been friends for 20 years now. It's been.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've reviewed a lot of his work. He's a multi-crafter. You have basically two jobs, the YouTube and your regular
Yeah.
everyday job.
Yeah.
So you're a busy man. So to
YouTube
get you to
keeps me busy.
yeah, to get you to come over in person in studio to visit is awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I appreciate it.
I was able to get the work that I needed to do today done last night. And then tonight I have Monster High videos to film, and I have a thrift haul that I need to go through and identify what the things are, learn a bit about their history, get that filmed so that way I can start getting them clean to restyled and ready for their B-reel footage.
Awesome. Yep. So does anyone else have any other questions or ideas or comments or, like he says, concerns?
Right.
I mean, being friends with me for 20 years can be dangerous, you know.
It's always an adventure.
Yep, that's our mantra. Always
Yep.
an adventure.
Never a quiet moment.
Nope. So, but I definitely, appreciate you coming over here, sharing your arts and crafts and your passions, and
Absolutely. It's always nice to
there's his socials
communicate
again.
with other people who can understand what you're talking about.
Yep.
And I think that being able to talk about your different crafts or your different art forms, the way that you solve those problems, it can teach other people. You can learn from other people.
Yep.
The way that I solve the problem isn't the way that you solve it, and I can learn how to make my artwork better by learning a skill from you. And I feel the same way in the collecting community. There are a lot of products that I didn't know existed. There are a lot of collections that I didn't know people did. And I love learning about what's nostalgic for you. What was your childhood favorite toy? What is the thing that like you wanted for Christmas but Santa Claus never brought you?
Right.
You know, being a boy, I did have parents who bought me girl toys. So I had My Little Ponies and things. But there are a lot of boys who didn't get that opportunity.
Not back when we were growing up.
Yeah, to have a girl toy. I never wanted Barbie, but there are boys that did, and so it's really nice to talk to those people, to talk to other boys that liked girl toys. I'm not a weirdo,
No.
growing up my whole life thinking there must be something wrong with me because all these boys like these and I like these,
G.I. Joe and He-Man and all that,
Yeah.
I begged my parents to get me boy toys, and you know what they did? They painted up my brother's old Grayskull castle pink of all colors. You know how I like pink.
Right.
Pink of all colors, and then they gave it to me for Christmas. And
Yeah.
I'm like, but I wanted the real colored Grayskull castle. Okay.
Right.
It was unheard of, and it was awesome that your parents, did that and for you, but my parents were like, nope, you're gonna play with girl toys. Here's a Barbie, go play.
Yeah.
You know what Barbie was doing? Playing in the mud and rescuing the boys.
Right.
Yeah. Many a time my mom was like, she's covered in mud. Yeah. Can't you play like a normal little girl? And if you said that today,
Right.
oof.
Yeah.
So we grew up in a different era.
Exactly.
But for your parents to like acknowledge, okay, he enjoys these,
Mhm.
we'll go ahead and encourage it and allow it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
So-
and I think my family looked at it as he is an animal lover.
Yeah.
He's collecting toys that are animals. These are horses. His favorite animal is a horse. Littlest Pet Shop, they were all animals. So it wasn't weird for my parents to think he's a boy and he wants to collect animal toys.
Right.
It wasn't that it was a boy or girl toy, it was an animal toy. And if that's the one that he likes because he likes the color or he likes to play with the hair, that's fine. And my best friend growing up was a girl because my mom's best friend had a little girl. So me and Jessica grew up together playing with toys and Barbies and stuff. And then eventually when I was 6, I met Kim, and Kim and I grew up together playing with My Little Ponies, and she had dolls that we'd play with. And it just was what it was. It didn't. It wasn't weird until other kids started saying like, that's weird. When I would bring in My Little Pony to show and tell, I'm like, I'm really excited about this toy. And they're like, but that's weird that you play with that.
No. I remember show and tell. I wanted to bring my brother's He-Man toys. And my dad was like, absolutely not. You're going to do girl stuff. You're going to do blah, 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 blah. You're a girl. And it's like, but...
Right.
And then again, I was the only girl in my generation. I had, a brother and all male cousins. I didn't have any little girls to play with. So I wanted to play with what they were playing with.
Right.
Because it looked like it was fun.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, and I played with X-Men and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff as a kid, too. Jurassic Park was really huge. Loved my dinosaurs and things like that. So there were boy toys in there, and of course when Pokemon happened, it was an explosion and everything Pokemon. Cereal and gummies, and if this book had it and that magazine had a Pokemon on it, I had to have it.
Yep.
So I had a fair share of a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But
And you collected a lot of the McDonald's toys, too. So...
Yeah.
Yep. Something I think McDonald's will never get away, go away from is the toys, because kids come in for their Happy Meal and have a toy along with it.
Exactly. The quality in the toys has gone down as we've gotten older, for sure. But McDonald's toys are just classic, especially when they're something that you really love.
Yeah, well, I can't snooze this ad. I looked briefly to see who we might have someone to rate into, but I didn't really see anybody that... I like to rate into people I know and trust, because there's been a couple times I've rated somebody, and it was the wrong person to rate.
Oh, dear.
So we've got like 3 minutes to ad break, and we'll probably finish out before the ad starts. That way, we're not having people wait 3 minutes for us to say goodbye.
Right.
So I wanted to say thank you for joining me today. It has been an absolute blast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Like when I first started this, I'm like, I've got to ask Chip.
Yeah,
he's one of the people I've got to ask. Yep, there's your socials. Make sure to go visit him, and when you do, let him know where you're coming from. I'll probably, when I go to upload the YouTube to YouTube, I'll put that in the description so people can visit you.
Yeah, I'll make a little, I'll share it to my page too, so that if someone wants to come over and check it out.
Awesome.
See what I had to say.
Yeah.
It's a different experience in a review video versus talking with somebody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep. So, except for our little blip where we forgot to turn on the audio when we switched over to screens. I don't know how long we were doing that, but I looked and I'm like, oh, there's no audio. Crap.
We're just like, all right, this is a silent stream today.
Yep, silent for a few minutes, but thank you everybody for joining us today. Like I said, it's been an absolute blast. Next Sunday, I need to find somebody to line up, so if you are an artist or a crafter and would like to be showcased, just send me a DM. I'll be happy to get things set up for you. We'll get the Discord channel up for you and everything, so that way you can post all of your photos of your work and stuff like that. And if you have a shop, we can make sure, like we did with Chip today, we'll pin it and post it throughout stream. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time. Much love.